Chapter 6. Wiglaf and Angus flattened themselves against the curve in the castle wall. They watched Mordred walk quickly toward the rear of the castle. Must be checking on his trash pit, said Angus. Wiglaf kept his eyes on the moat. He saw a small head pop up out of the water. Worm! The pimpling had an eel hanging out of his mouth. He threw back his head and gulped it down. Then he flapped his wings, splashing like crazy. Who goes there? Mordred cried. His violet eyes looked up and down the moat, but the pimpling had dived back under the water. Only when Mordred walked off did Wiglaf start to breathe again. There's Worm, cried Angus. Wiggy, we have to save him. He grabbed Wiglaf by the arm, and before Wiglaf knew what was happening, splash! He and Angus hit the water. Brrr! It was freezing. Wiglaf surfaced. He swiped the moat from his head with one hand while he paddled with the other. I see him, cried Angus. Come on! Wiglaf swam after Angus toward Worm. Only the pippling's skinny little leg and head stuck out of the water. He saw the boys coming and bubbled happily. Mmm. Angus reached out for the pippling. Worm's eye lit up, and he dove under the water again. Wiglaf groaned. He thinks it's a game, Angus. Ahoy, lads, came a voice. Wiglaf looked up. On the bank of the moat stood Coach Plunget, the DSA gym teacher. Practicing your swimming strokes, I see, Coach said. Jolly good, glad to see you getting some exercise, Angus. And Wiglaf, more rich with those arms, he began demonstrating the crawl stroke. The boys swam using their best form. Better, shouted Coach, much better. Just then, Worm popped up again. Coach had one arm up over his head. He didn't see the pippling. Like this, lads, called Coach Plunget. Do this every day and you will grow up to be manly man like me. Worm called to Wiglaf and Angus. Coach was busy demonstrating the frog kick on land, which with lads like you on the swim team, will be Dragon Stabber's prep. Or my name isn't Welding Plunget, Coach cried. Well, I must go and meet my sweet Belchina for lunch. Farewell. He waved and strode off toward the cottage of Huntsman's Path, where he lived with his bride. As Wiglaf waved back, Worm sprang up right in front of him. He was slopping down another eel. Wiglaf threw his arms around him, but the slippery pippling slid out of his grasp. Come on, Worm, Wiglaf coaxed. Come to mommy, said Worm. He swam to Wiglaf, but as Wiglaf reached for him, he darted away. He did this again and again. Meanwhile, Angus swam quietly up behind the pippling and began treading water. Worm, look at me, Angus ordered. Worm turned around. Angus didn't reach for him. He stuck out his chin. He flared his nostrils. He did not blink as he stared at the little dragon. Worm cocked his head as if trying to decide whether Angus meant business. Angus kept his gaze on Worm as he slowly brought his arm out of the water. He had an eel in his hand. He held it to the pippling's nose. Worm looked at it cross-eyed, but did not snap it up. Slowly, Angus drew the eel treat toward his own eyes, and there it was, eye contact. You may have the treat now, Worm, said Angus. He gave it to the pippling, all the while staring into his yellow and red eyeballs. But always remember, I'm in charge. Zrrr, trilled Worm. Angus grinned. Did you hear that, Wiggy? He called me sir. I heard it, Wigglytuff smiled. Now tell him to get out of the moat, Angus, or we'll catch our death of cold. After that, Worm followed Angus back to the henhouse like a little duckling. The boys' uniforms were soaking wet and smelly from the moat, so they cut scrub of thorn and hid out in the henhouse that afternoon. They kept busy with training Worm. Even Daisy, who'd returned from the library with a big stack of books, was impressed with how fast the peopling learned. That very afternoon, Angus taught Worm, sit and down. So sit, stay here recommended training with both hand signals and English commands. Over the next few days, they worked with the peopling between scrub-a-thorn chores until he had nailed stay, come, and leave it, give a paw, speak, and no speak. He loved playing games, so Wigglytuff taught him fetch and hide and seek. But the peopling's favorite game was one he made up himself. Wigglytuff called it Make Me Laugh. Worm played it by making faces and doing silly things until the boys cracked up. All this time, Worm was growing. Now the top of his little crested head came up to Wigglytuff's shoulder. The same night, just before torches out, Erica came over and sat on Wigglytuff's cot. He had hardly seen her lately. She was either out on dawn patrol or doing extra credit scrubbing. Dawn patrol is over, Erica said. Bregward and I have finished carting 5 pots garbage heap to the trash pit. That whole mountain of garbage is gone? That Angus. Erica nodded proudly. And how is there something doing? The something I don't know about anything about. He's fine, said Wigglytuff. Angus is very good at training the something. Angus grinned. If you can make eye contact, you can get a dragon to do anything you want. Eye contact? Erica said. I'll remember that. Then she looked puzzled. Wiggy, what happened to your blanket? Something needed a bed, said Wigglytuff. Erica ran off. When she returned, she was carrying a nice thick blanket and a pillow. You know me, she said. I have extra everything. She plopped them down on Wigglytuff's cot. That night, Wigglytuff felt warm and happy. He had never slept on a pillow before, and it felt as if he were floating on a cloud. He closed his eyes and fell asleep, smiling. Soon, Wigglytuff was dreaming about Worm, calling, Mommy, Mommy. Wigglytuff rolled over in his sleep. He found himself pressed up against something hard and lumpy. Wigglytuff opened one eye. A pair of yellow eyes stared back at him. Mommy. Worm cooed as he snuggled close to Wigglytuff. He licked his face. Wigglytuff sat up. This was no dream. This was real. Worm had crawled into bed with him. Leaving Worm in the henhouse wasn't working. He couldn't stay in the dome. He might be discovered. Was there anywhere outside? No. What if Worm decided to plunge into the moat again? Who knew what he'd think of next? Worm, groaned Wigglytuff. What am I going to do with you? Mommy. Worm bubbled sleepily. Wigglytuff couldn't help smiling. He closed his eyes and pulled Erica's thick warm blanket up to his chin. He'd figure it out tomorrow.